Things should be working. They are working. That's awesome. I love it when a plan comes together. We are early. We are 4 minutes early, and that's awesome. I love it when we're early. Early is good. Do you know what they say about early? Well, they say that early is on time is late, and late is unacceptable. Okay, good. I have my headphones. No, that's where I want to be set up. Cool. And live notifications are going out across the internet right now. The Canadian with a wave, the Canadian show, I should say. Good morning to all. We are early, so we will sit and chat until the actual show starts promptly at 10. The reason we'll wait until 10 is because people are expecting us at 10, and it's not fair to start without them. We play like as a team. It's team. It's all about team. I'm going to add my extra camera, even though I don't have an extra person at the moment, just in case someone shows up. I'm going to add the camera, and right now we'll be looking at an empty chair. But you know what? There's a possibility that someone will arrive, wide-eyed and bushy-tailed about being a guest on the show. Oh, that reminds me, guest on the show. Invite guests. Let me take that. No, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go in here. So cool. We have great technology, in case you were wondering. We use a product called Restream. And hi, CJ just popped in the background. That's awesome. We have a product called Restream, and what does Restream do? It allows us to, let me get it, enter the studio. Oh, here, that's what I'm looking for. Copy link. Restream allows us to stream to multiple destinations. Okay. And turn that link off. Yeah, we can simultaneously stream to multiple locations. And it's awesome. It's awesome. It goes out to everywhere. Ooh, Scott Matthews is going to try. Ote. Brian Max might drop in for a hello. We have a list of magical people who occasionally grace us with their presence, and that's so cool. Good morning, Richard. Good morning, Angela. Good morning, Jacob. Good morning, James. He says, good morning. Hello, my favorite cop. Good morning to you. Good morning, John Woodster from Wasaga. I think I said that right this time. I have this thing about Wasaga. My name is something AMC to the moon. I don't know what AMC to the moon is. Kevin says, good morning, brother in blue. Good morning to you. Investing, I only see the first letter. It says, why are Prius drivers, investing messy, says, why do all Prius drivers drive so slow? I don't know. I don't have a lot of experience with those drivers, with Prius drivers in particular. Okay, we're checking the connection. Good morning from Walla 3X. Ernest says, good morning, sir. You don't have to sir me. I'm just Sean or Shap. One of the two. Emily says good morning. Dan Swolick joined. Lucy B. Tyson Spence. Oh, there's all sorts of people pumping into the show. Big Jeff Fresh with a happy good morning and happy Friday. It is Friday. Yes, it's not Friday. It's Friday. It's the best day of the week. Why? Because the rest of the week isn't spent here. Listen, I love being here. Don't get me wrong, but I really do appreciate being at home with my family and cuddles on the couch, watching Netflix, stuff like that. My kids just pile on. We all get on the couch, get comfy. Sometimes have popcorn. It's pretty awesome. It's mostly the hanging out that's awesome. But anyway, what are we talking about today? We got so much to talk about. We have some leftover questions, and it's 10 o'clock. I can actually start talking about stuff and things that are show related. Let me pull up this one little tweet. Did I get the tweet out? Let's see if it went out. Bet you it didn't work. No, it didn't go up. Okay. Today, I'll quickly say that Vision Zero enforcement team on this magical Friday the 3rd are in 13 and 51 division. What does that mean? What does it mean to be in 13 and 51? Well, let me tell you. It means that those communities that are within those divisions are being serviced with above average enforcement presence. The deal is that we are out there looking for the big offenders, the big four offenders, people who choose to drive in excess of the speed limit. So speeders, aggressive drivers, distracted drivers, and impaired drivers. Those are the people that are taking part voluntarily in making the roads less safe for everybody else. Good morning to my wife, the Leo wife. She is here in YouTube land watching, hopefully on the big screen, so my mother-in-law can see too, because then we can talk about both of them and make them both embarrassed. No, my goal isn't to embarrass. My goal is to include. If they should be embarrassed by the inclusion, that's up to them. Okay, let's see. We've got boom, boom, boom. Oh, we've got Jacob telling people where to go by way of a general specific location. Apparently, he is local to 51 Division. Shout out to a specific sergeant at 51 Division. Very cool. All right, let me get into some stuff and things. If you are watching and you don't know how to participate, let me share with you the wisdom that is, was it wisdom? Is it just like how to? Anyway, I guess it's wisdom. The deal is we are currently broadcasting on TikTok, where we have over 603,000 followers. We are on Instagram Live right there on this phone in front of me. We're also on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, and we're casting on Twitter, but you can't ask us questions. Anything but Twitter, you can ask us questions. We will respond. If you are on the magical or not so magical Twitter at the moment, it's not working with Restream. We lost the ability to see your questions a little while ago, and by little I mean a long time ago, and it hasn't come back. We wish it would, but it hasn't. So if you would like to be asking questions, either pop onto one of our other platforms, or you can, otherwise you won't be able to ask questions. So we want to ask questions. We want you to ask questions because we want to answer them. Now, you can go in and use trafficcop.ca. It's stuff scrolling across the bottom. Trafficcop.ca is a Linktree link that will take you to all of our social media places, along with some useful information. You can do that, and then you'll be able to ask us questions if you go there and then use that as a leapfrog over to like TikTok or one of the other platforms. Emma, good morning. We have Vehicle Valley. Good morning to you. Okay. Oh, lots of stuff coming in. I'm going to jump into some questions that were left unanswered last show. Figure that's a way to get it down. We will try and get to everybody. Don't be in a rush. We're here for a full hour. We try and go first in, first out. So if you're jumping in right now, know that there's some people ahead of you. I don't want to set unreasonable expectations. So we usually say first in, first out. That's the way we'll try it. We also have volley questions that are here. Let me see if there's anything new. Oh, gas prices from Michael. That's is that a question? Is it just saying how much it is? Good morning from Jace, who's on Volley. All right, Volley is a place where you can send video, voice, or text. We have a little room there, a guest space. How many people? 140-ish number of people. You can jump in there and be involved. Yeah, it's a community thing. Oh my goodness, there's so many questions. Let me scroll back here. All right. Put my name on screen before I replace it with a question, which is, here we go. Is it illegal for a father to let his child drive in a parking lot? Mother, father, parent, doesn't matter, child. The deal is this. On private property, a license is not something we can enforce. You don't have to have a license on private property. Should you have a license? Sure you should. Must you have insurance to have the vehicle get to that place? Yeah. Could they ask you to leave private property? Absolutely. Could you be responsible for everything that you do while you're in that vehicle, regardless if you have a license? Absolutely. If you're a parent putting your child in that situation, you're going to be responsible for them too. It's not a good idea. Is it illegal? Can we lay a ticket for letting an unlicensed person drive a vehicle? No. If they stunt drive in that vehicle, do burnouts and donuts, yeah, we can. We can charge them with stunt driving, and then we'll take the car, regardless of who owns it. All right. Removing that question from the queue because we answered it. What's the first thing a police officer is required to say when approaching any persons? Hello? What's up? There's no order of operations required to say anything that I'm aware of. Now, if you think there is something and you'd like to share it with me, please do, because I'm always interested to get feedback. But somebody wanted to know this question and the answer to this question, and based on the fact that it's a required thing. Now, if we're recording, we're going to tell you that we're recording. Is that a requirement by law? That's our policy. I don't think it's a requirement by law. And if it is a requirement by law, someone should tell me. I haven't taken the body worn camera training because I'm not on the road since they've been put into play. I believe listen, with dash cams, we have a in-car camera system, and I would tell people, hi, just let you know we're recording audio and video. Maybe that's the same thing for that. not aware of anything else that's required. But I hope that person is in the room that asked that question so they can, let me in on it. Because sometimes people ask questions because they believe they have answers, and if they have an answer, I want to know. Okay, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service. I answer traffic and police questions from Monday to Friday. I didn't show up on Wednesday. It was not just like not showing up, but I wasn't here on Wednesday. I had things to do. The fortunate joy of having time in the Lou Bank, so I was able to go and take care of those important things. And now I'm back, and now I'm gone for the weekend. But I'm back on Monday, so there you go. If you got, what is this? If you got a ticket 2 years ago but moved after they send it to your new address. So if you did what you were legally required to do after 6 days of moving, you were supposed to add your new address or change your address, and then they would know your address. But they will know that they will send out any documentation to the last known address. Hey, are you going to hang out? You got a camera pointer right there. You can sit there comfortably. We have a visitor. Yeah. So cool is this. You got headphones? Headphones, whatever's attached to this wire here or that one of those two wires, whichever one's comfortable. Which one's that? I got to know which one so we can adjust your volume. I can hear you. You can hear, but which? Okay. It's just for mic minus. Okay, then we're going to give you this mic.
I am. It's all crossed here. So.
Okay.
I want this one here.
And then we're going to do this, and you're on camera, on
Perfect.
TikTok, and everywhere. Scott Matthews, welcome to TikTok, but not on your channel. You have your own channel. I gotta move this over. 1 second. There we go. You have your own TikTok account. What is your TikTok account?
It's TPS Traffic DC. You can also get me on Twitter and Instagram using the same handle.
All of the places.
Yes.
And for those who don't know who you are, what you do, you do a lot of different things, but you've been in the CIB for a long time, and now you're doing different stuff because you're wearing a uniform.
Yes. So I'm currently doing tow truck enforcement. What I do there is make sure that the tow trucks are following the City of Toronto bylaws when they tow from collision scenes, and make sure that the consumer is protected when their vehicles are towed.
So you are protecting us. It's awesome. I like that. But you have a wealth of knowledge, and one of the projects or things that you regularly do is give us updates as to how many people have been getting charged over the weekend with impaired events. How have we been doing? What's the report card say, Doc?
Well, again, this time of the year, the numbers tend to go a little bit down. People tend to stay home after Christmas. Usually sit in the 10 to 20 range.
Every weekend?
Every weekend, yep.
And that's just the City of Toronto for anyone who's wondering, if that's everywhere. No, that's City of Toronto specific. But we were seeing numbers that were pretty high for a long while.
Well, before Christmas, when people go out and do their Christmas functions and get together with family, that's when it goes high. Or long weekends in the summer are also high. You'll get them up in the 20s and even up into the 30s over a weekend.
As I read, I'm looking. It looks like I'm looking away from you, so now I'm switching which side we're sitting on. So I now appear on the other side on screen for everybody, and everyone's like, "Ooh, just got moved." Shall we tackle some questions?
Sure.
We got some stuff that people are asking. Okay, we talked about this one already. I can remove it from the queue. Facing a stopped school bus at an intersection, can you turn right at the intersection? So buses aren't really supposed to utilize or activate their lights and stop traffic at an intersection by 100% rules. Let's say they are. The lights are flashing. Can you turn right or left without passing them?
That's a good question.
I think you can.
I think you can too.
Because it says you cannot pass them. And you can't pass them oncoming if it's a undivided highway, and you can't pass them from behind going beyond overtake them from behind if it's regardless of it's divided or undivided. So making a left or right. Now the problem with it is, although maybe not legally required to stop from turning left or right, is it safe? Could you have a child who's getting off the bus thinking they're safe? Maybe taking extra caution in that situation would be wise.
And I would agree. And you're not passing the open stop sign by turning left or right. You are by going straight forward.
Yes, and again, the difference is if it was divided, if there was a barrier there, you would be able to continue past them because there's a barrier. If it was a divided highway, so that wouldn't really take place. There's very few divided highways where there's an intersection. But anyway,
Yeah.
are you allowed? What is this? What is the penalty for racing up alongside bumper to bumper traffic in the emergency lane? What is an emergency lane? Do you mean the shoulder?
Or the HOV lane, maybe there, or not the HOV, the bus lane.
Well, racing up alongside. That's a very interesting question. I'm going to assume they're talking about the shoulder because that's usually where you go with when you have an emergency.
Yeah.
It's for stopped vehicles. That would be off-roadway. That would be a ticket. It could even be careless driving, depending on what we're seeing.
Fail to drive in marked lane.
Yeah, I think that charge is actually being removed from the HTA. I think it would be pass off roadway.
Yes.
In any case, it would be illegal, and the fine would start somewhere in the vicinity of $110 and go higher if you were charged with careless driving. It would be $400-ish, $395-ish. Is that am I remembering that correctly?
400, 495, I believe.
Ooh, it may be going up. At the end of the day, bad thing to do. Why would anyone do that? Not only is it unsafe, but everybody in the world will hate you, like everybody, eventually, because we'll send emails to all of our other friends internationally. It's just one of those jerk moves. So don't do it. Aside, like you know when you do that, everybody you pass hates you. You just make people wait in line. It's called traffic. What they would do? Please clear this up for me. Someone told me that motorcycles are allowed to ride in the HOV lane. We talked about this yesterday. These are actually follow-up questions from leftover from yesterday. We're getting them out of the queue. The answer is that they are. 400 series highways are, they allow for 400 series highways with HOV lanes allow single occupant motorcycles to be used. But, it gets confusing when you talk about the ones in the city of Toronto because they're not technically HOV. They're multi-use lanes.
Correct.
I should point this screen at you so you know what sees. Now it's like you still can't see me, but at least you see yourself.
Yes. Well, I don't need to see you. I know what you look like.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is I can see Scott on the other side. I can see him through the camera. I see what you see. I'm seeing a display with both of us, but I can't see him directly because there's a screen in the way. I've got two screens. Yeah, there's a lot of electronics here. I'm getting this wonderful glow and tan because I have so many screens in front of me. But yeah, so the multi-use ones aren't technically. They're governed by their use is determined based on the signs that are hanging around them. Some may allow motorcycles. Look for the motorcycles. That would be the way to determine if it's free. But 400 series is good. What is this? Where does the victim surcharge go for HTA moving violations? From Theron. My understanding is it goes into a fund that is held for victims of crime.
I understand it's the same.
And that's actually good. There's times when people are injured as a result of crime, and this goes to helping them. And it's a tax for people who are violating. So where do you get money to fund things like this? People who break the law. It's a great place to put the money. Back to questions that are from people who asked questions. What's the question? Okay, whose fault? Here's one. Who is at fault if road is open, light is green, the car in front decides to slam on the brakes? So a brake check. Stopping for no reason it could be careless driving, could be dangerous driving, could
Also
be
stunt driving.
Could be stunt driving. You're intentionally causing collision. Could be insurance fraud. Like there's so many things. It depends on it really depends. I think without question it would be the fault of the person who stopped for no reason. That would be even though you rear end them. But this is a problem. How do you prove it?
That's why dash cams are so important.
That's where I was going to go for. Are awesome. Now, some people and some lawyers on TikTok or platforms are busy saying, hey, dash cams could catch you doing something and actually make you responsible for the collision you caused. Yeah, it's true. If you break the law, if you're doing something wrong, it's entirely possible that evidence will be collected and used against you. But when it helps you, it helps you. And hopefully you're just driving according to law and you don't have to worry about anything. The goal should be that you shouldn't have to worry about getting caught. You should be doing the right thing all the time when no one's watching. And then you have no worries when your own dash cam catches you doing the right thing. Let's see here. Police officers pull you over if you accelerate fast but don't go over the speed limit. I've talked about this a lot, and this is sort of into the realm of opinion. What do you think, Scott? I hammer the gas. I do a 0 to 60 without doing a burnout, because burnout is stunt. I do a 0 to 60 in 3 seconds or less. Could I possibly be, stunt driving?
It's hard to say. It matters how the maneuver is done. If you're affecting other traffic,
Pedestrians?
I guess it just depends on the situation.
Yeah, I tend to potentially careless or even stunt. Because if people are jumping out of the way to avoid, because people are assuming that you're going to do the right thing. The light's going to turn. Here's going to be someone who drives like a normal human being, and I say normal or normal driving, maybe normal driver. And normal, not to say I have to be politically correct. I don't know how to be politically correct. I mean normal, doing what someone's supposed to be doing when they're following the law. That's what I mean by normal. And pedestrians judge how much time they have to cross the street based on what is normal. And if you do something that's completely uncharacteristic for what everybody else is doing, now you're putting them at risk. So I think that would be grounds for charges. But it's going to depend on the officer who's making the observations and interpreting what they see.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, I like it. Let's see here. I've seen many, what is this? I'm going to put up on screen. I've seen many semi-truck trailer guys driving extreme left on 401 and HOV lanes these days. Can they? If I pull up the HOV requirements, for semi-truck trailers, they're not allowed in the HOV lane. There's a maximum weight. HOV lane, Ontario requirements. Let's look it up.
But also that he or she also could be saying just in the regular left lane or the fast lane. So if you look on the 400 series highways, a lot, especially on the bridges or on the median, there is a sign that says no trucks over 6.5 meters. So it's a disobey sign for sure, but that's only in the express lanes. In the collectors, there is no sign for that. So the trucks can operate in the collectors in cities like Toronto that have a collectors.
Yeah, my understanding is they have to have a sign to tell them no. Like without the sign present, they're allowed to be in any lane.
That's correct.
And when you talk about the HOV lanes, you're not allowed to have a commercial vehicle that is over 6,500 kilos. It was just in front of my face, and I've scrolled somewhere. Who can use it? It's commercial trucks less than 6.5 meters long with a gross weight of 4,500 kilos or less. So cars, van or light truck, commercial vehicle, what I just mentioned, and vehicle towing a trailer with a combined vehicle trailer length of less than 6.5 meters. You're also allowed to use it if you have a bus of any kind, a licensed taxi, or airport limousine, and sadly, your folks are not able to do this. Emergency vehicles with Ontario green license plates, and motorcycles. And my favorite little tidbit about the green plates is if you have a Tesla and you get yourself a blue plate, your license to use that lane is gone. It's the plate itself that gives you the license, not the fact that you run on power or plug-in electric.
I think I've ever seen a Tesla with a blue plate.
Well, because most people don't want to give up that special access.
Exactly. And
so they don't get rid of it.
Yep.
But then they're upset because they want the custom plate. And I appreciate that. I don't know why they don't make green plates that are custom. It just seems like an opportunity to make some money.
Yep.
And everyone knows that everything we do is all about money. That's the allegation. They say that we're the tax collectors, and I like making fun of the people who say that. Let's see here. Coming in from Instagram, what are the laws about firearms? Can you carry concealed or open carry? Well, I got news for you, friend. I'm assuming you are in the United States, because in Ontario, Canada, you cannot carry concealed or open carry. You are not allowed to carry firearms unless you're a police officer, armed guard, or military, and military only under certain circumstances. But I always love those questions. Like, I took my concealed weapons course when I was in the United States. I lived there for a period of time. I took my concealed course. It's just part of the life there. It's not part of the life here. Recently renewed my license plate. Should I remove the old sticker? I like these questions. What do you think? Have you removed all your stickers?
Yep, both my cars. I removed all the stickers. I would suggest it because I have read other jurisdictions outside of Ontario. There's been some issues, so to stop the issues, I removed all my stickers.
Mine still says it's in 2022. So, but I haven't been driving anywhere outside of the province. But I totally anticipate that if you drive into New York State, you're going to get pulled over, because as soon as you put an expired year, it's going to look like you're not renewed, whether you are or not.
That's right. And I went to Florida recently, so that was the main reason.
How is Florida?
When I was down there, it was very nice. It was just after the hurricane went through, and it was warm. I enjoyed it.
Warm is good. I like warm. Cindy Cote, if I said your name correctly, if I didn't, I apologize. Just followed us, but also says hello from Australia. Where in Australia are you from, Cindy? I have family in Australia, in Melbourne. I quite like Australia. I had a lot of fun there. Although driving was interesting, getting used to driving on the wrong side of the road or the right side of the road, depending on how you want to look at it. I really did like it. But I want to go back. And I was talking about going back in November. We'll see what happens. Can you flash someone that is driving super slow under the speed limit? How does that work? You're not allowed to flash people because within a certain proximity, within following 60 meters and oncoming 160 meters, give or take. I always mix those up. I say, because why can't they make it 60 and 160? No, I think it's 50 and 160. Whatever it is, it messes with me. So, yeah, you'd be breaking the law if you flash them, technically.
Yeah.
But at the same time, communicate. Can you honk them? You can honk the horn. That's legal. It's reasonable to give them a toot. Which use the bicycle
There
horn?
you go.
Yes. You know what? It's not unreasonable. High beaming them is a little different. Technically, you're improperly using the high beams, but giving them a flash is really become an acceptable communication tool. I think you'd be fine. And really, people shouldn't be driving below the speed limit in the left lane. If you're going slower than traffic, you should be to the right. But I will remind people that you're never allowed to exceed the speed limit, even though everyone on the road seems to. That's not an important rule. I say everyone, the vast majority. It's one of those weird things. I don't think people should speed because you shouldn't. I just saw. I saw a response that came back from our friend from Australia who said, if I'm not mistaken, west. Oh yes, I'm out west in Queensland. Oh, that's awesome. Have I been to Queensland? I don't know if I've been to Queensland. I spent like 3 weeks in Australia and I had a lot of fun going all over the place. I was in Cairns. I was in Melbourne. I was in, where else did I go? I went somewhere else, but I was there for a family event. It was a lot of fun. Now all I want to do is go back to Australia. You've ruined me for today. I'm going to think about Australia all day. Okay. If you're in a left-only lane, must you still signal left? Actually, I didn't represent that well. To read verbatim, if you're in a left turn-only lane, do you need your left turning signal on? There, verbatim. Yeah, you got to signal your intention to move your vehicle to change direction, regardless of what lane you're in. It's still a requirement. If it could affect the movement of any other vehicle on the road, is what the wording basically says in the HTA. So yeah, you can't assume that the oncoming traffic knows that there's a marking with a little arrow on the road. So you still need to communicate it to those approaching. Would you concur?
I totally concur on that one.
That's good. It's good when we agree with each other. Actually, it's also good when we don't agree, because having these discussing these things.
I'll wait. There might be something.
So Robbie followed up saying, can you have a firearm in your property, such as your car or home? So the answer is you can transport, if you're a properly licensed firearms owner and going to a gun club or going hunting, but you can't store it in your vehicle long term. You just, again, for transport purposes. And in your home, you can obviously own it and store it, but you're not allowed to use it for self-defense. It's not meant for self-defense. It's for hunting or for target practice only. We don't sell firearms in Canada for self-defense. And that gets into conversations. Are people allowed to tow their vehicle with their own vehicle? Like if you owned a tow truck, or if you had the appropriate way of connecting the two vehicles?
As long as it's appropriate connecting, not using
silly string
or a yellow rope.
Yeah, it would have to be, and even straps. I mean, I see the T-bars that people use to tow their certain vehicles. Those, like when you have a motorhome and you're towing a car behind it.
Yeah, that's an appropriate way of towing a vehicle is to have a tow bar.
Tow bar, that's what they're called. They have names for that stuff. Dollies, oh yeah. And you can certainly rent from you can purchase or rent those dollies that pick up the two front wheels, and then you can tow it around. So yeah, the answer is you can, but it has to be the appropriate connection. And it has to be obviously safe equipment. Jace says, if my car gets towed and it's damaged by the tow company, is there anything that can be done about it? That's an interesting question.
Well, that would be a civil matter. unless they purposely damaged it.
And then it becomes a criminal.
Then it becomes criminal. But at that point, it's something that would have to be taken up with the tow company that they damaged.
And when we tow something, if we order a contract tow and have it towed, we look for damage on the vehicle so that we can say that this is the condition it was when we found it.
Correct.
Let's see here. If you're speeding, here we go. If you're speeding and an officer witnesses it but doesn't pull you over, can you get a ticket for it later? Interesting question. And a couple of things have to happen, right? Like we'd have to be able to know the time, date, location, and be able to identify the driver. And if that were all together, I imagine we could.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think it's commonplace.
It very seldom happens.
But we saw some where somebody had done something. I forgot what it was exactly. Was it careless driving? And there was an off-duty officer, and he said, "I'm going to see you at your house," and he did. And then that person went to the media and said, "He told me he was going to come see me, and he saw me. And it's not right." But we're police officers 24/7, and we can do that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Can you get a ticket? Oh, I like this. Can you get a ticket for using your phone on a bicycle?
So I've actually looked into this one, believe it or not. So can you get a ticket under the Highway Traffic Act? No. But there is a City of Toronto bylaw that states that you must have both your hands on the handlebars of the
Get
bicycle.
out.
Yep.
Okay. Learn something. I did not know that.
Well, they're still there. Now, this was a few years ago, but there was a bylaw. Fail to ride with both hands or something. I can't remember. I'd have to look it up.
Okay, but that's cool. I got to look that up too. I want to find that. That's amazing.
Could be different now. But remember that back when the cell phone law first came in.
Oh, new tickets. I like new tickets. Obviously, the HTA specifies that it has to be a motor vehicle.
Yep.
And now, oddly enough, an e-bike is considered a motor vehicle for the purposes of the criminal code, but it is not covered as a motor vehicle for the purposes of the HTA. However, if you had an e-bike that you modified, it was no longer under the blanket legislation for e-bikes. Let's say you were on an e-bike that was doing 40 kilometers an hour. The maximum speed permissible on an e-bike is 32 kilometers an hour. 40 kilometers means you're no longer on an e-bike, you're on a motorcycle. So on top of your no insurance, no plate, no license, no everything, you'd also be charged with unsafe vehicle problem. Okay, what else can we do? And then we'd also do the cell phone if you were on the cell phone. Yep. So yeah, that would be just a myriad of charges. I love it. That's amazing. Can you get pulled over for not clearing the snow off your car? Big pet peeve.
Yes.
That drives me bananas. Bunkers even. The deal is that you can't see if you don't clear the snow. So how does one see? Or the people who just make that little window, that little cutout, like they're at a nightclub and like, who goes there? That's you're not allowed to drive with. That's unsafe. That would be obstructed a driver's view obstructed. And then there's the fact that the snow on the roof could move. I've been saying insecure load. I think that if you had 40 pounds of or some reasonable amount of snow on your roof, that's a load. I mean, you didn't load it there, but it's a load. And I've had some retired folks, retired police officers, write me and say that's not an appropriate charge. But I think it is. I think if you are transporting that load of snow and you don't make efforts to secure it, I think it's on you.
Well, it should be taken off because you see them, this time of year where transports are going down the highway and that big chunk of snow or ice comes off and goes through somebody's windshield.
I've had a windshield knocked out of I was driving southbound on the 404. I've told this a number of times. Southbound on the 4, and the 18, it wasn't a situation of snow falling off their vehicle, but they were driving through deep slush in lane 1 northbound, and they put such heavy slush over all 3 lanes that they every vehicle on the road had windows smashed. I was driving a Jeep Cherokee at the time. My window smashed. I'll never forget. I looked to my left and I saw a Honda Del Sol that was doing just spins, and then it ended up in the wall. Like the entire highway shut down.
You're dating yourself by saying that car.
Yes. I thought that was a cool car. Was that not a cool car?
It was back
with the
in
roof
time.
that came off
Yep.
and had a place in the trunk.
Yep.
If I wasn't 6'5", put my one leg in, I would have bought it. I loved it. It was such a cool Target top Honda. I was in it, but it was way too small. We have what was it? I should probably remind everybody who I is and why I'm here. My name is Sean Shapiro. This is Ask a Traffic Cop. It's a show on the internet. We're streaming on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We're everywhere all at the same time. We're taking questions from our viewers because we're here to answer traffic and police questions. And you can get us Monday to Friday Monday to Friday.
That too.
It's generally 5 days a week. We aim for 5, and we are here from 10 to 11, unless we give you some extra time. Like when we joined Jerry Agar on News Talk 1010, we started an extra half an hour early, and of course we have Scott Matthews, who now are you PCDC? Are you different than you used to be?
I'm still a detective constable. Just kind of changed positions. Again, I'm doing the tow enforcement unit. I look into the tow trucks, make sure everybody's properly licensed, they're playing by the rules set out by the City of Toronto bylaws, and that nobody is taking advantage of the people being towed. It does keep me busy. I just dealt with one this morning before I came up. That's why I'm a few minutes late coming up. People try the tow truck drivers, and you know, it's a few bad apples that
Spoil the bunch.
Spoil the bunch, right? And trying to we had quite a high tow bill on a car last night that shouldn't have been. The City of Toronto has a set rate for towing from a collision scene, which is now just changed this morning, and I can't remember exactly the cents, but it's $300. They're allowed to charge to tow a vehicle from the initial collision scene, either to the collision reporting center or the destination of the owner's choice. There are a couple things they can charge for. They can charge for, actually only one other thing, a recovery in case the car is off in the ditch. There's a $100 recovery fee that they are.
They get this charge for certain or dollies or certain set fees.
No dollies.
Dolly fees?
No dolly fees.
Oh wow, okay. I thought there were fees for dolly. Maybe there used to be.
So there can be dolly fees after the initial tow. So you had it towed to the collision reporting center, and then you chose to use the exact same tow truck to tow it out of the collision reporting center to your body shop. Then there's a fee
then they're allowed to.
But that fee schedule is going to be shown to you.
You can't just hack it on and say, oh, by the way.
By the way. So you've got to agree to that and sign the invoice after the fees are on there. Obviously, the mileage might not be on there because they don't know how far they're going to tow it after the initial tow and the second tow.
Right on.
But again, the first tow is a standardized tow of $310 and some cents plus tax. And just, you know, all our listeners in the City of Toronto, make sure that you're aware of that.
And regardless of where you are, ask the questions. You don't want to get surprised because outside of the City of Toronto, there are. It's different now. There's a tow pilot project dealing with the OPP on highways, so there are some rules that have come into play. But for the longest time, it was the Wild West. And if you're out of the City of Toronto, they could charge you anything they wanted, and they obviously are working to regulate that. And I think some new laws are coming into play.
Yeah, it'd be next year. Now, I'll clarify the City of Toronto. So the 400 series highways or the OPP tow zones have their set rates, but within the city streets of Toronto and the Don Parkway and the Gardner Expressway, Highway 27, those areas are governed by the City of Toronto bylaw rates.
Chase just shared a headline, and I see Chase has a volley waiting to go, but he says that the federal government just withdrew the hunting rifle ban. That's interesting. I'll have to go read that. I don't know if that's what the volley is about, but that's good news. There was some strange stuff going on there. And I have a question from Jace who says, do you use ALPR systems in Ontario? And actually, we're in the process of rolling that out or developing it. Since this whole change of the way we enforce or can find out whether or not you have a valid license plate, because there's no stickers anymore, the provincial government is funding the rollout of ALPR systems, which, for those who don't know what an ALPR is, it's automated license plate reader, which I think is awesome. I love technology. Obviously, I'm doing this streaming thing is all technology all the time. And that's really cool. It means that we'll be able to drive around and the computer system will be able to see your license plate, automatically check for expired, wanted persons, stolen cars, like a million different things that they're looking for, and notify us. So it makes it safer for police officers because they can just be notified as opposed to having to manually search each and every car. Also means bad day for bad guys or people.
Very true.
Because there's more likelihood that we're going to find them. Did you see the video of the driver who did Mills Mall?
I did.
That's wild.
I know.
and I used to spend a lot of time at that mall. I had a business that was operating there many years ago. And I cannot imagine someone driving through those halls, but obviously I saw it. And
they knew where they're going. They knew the right turns to take.
Do we know where they hit? Do we know what they were going for?
It was an electronics store, I understand, or electronics they went for, but I don't know what store it was. I never followed it up.
I didn't know they really had they've got like a Best Buy mobile.
Maybe. I don't know.
What else do they have? There's no Radio Shack, that's for sure. Okay. Billy Wang says, or asks, Do they say or ask? It's a say and ask. I saw on the news. Here we go. I saw on the news about more speed camera. What does it mean? It means there's more speed cameras being rolled out in the city of Toronto. There were 50 for the longest time, and I believe they've added 25, bringing the total to 75. And that means more places where we'll be, or the city, because it's not a Toronto Police program, will be monitoring speed. And if you choose to speed, you'll be issued an automated ticket by the program. No points involved, but there is a cash fine, which is basically because they're all in high, what are they called? Community safety areas?
Yep, the problem areas, community safety areas. Again, the fine goes against the owner of the vehicle. It never shows up in your driving record. Your insurance company doesn't find out about it.
Which I actually think that's a bad thing. I think we should have the owner responsible for points and responsible for their driving record. And if they can prove that they gave it to somebody else, maybe you need to you get the person driving it to fill out a form before they take the car. So if little Bobby takes the car, little Bobby's license gets it.
Yep.
I think that that's good because Australia, they use automated enforcement quite a bit. And my kid brother got a ticket that came to points.
And the other, I've seen it, cameras mounted on poles to catch you texting and driving.
Yes. I didn't know Australia had it. I knew Britain was testing it.
Yeah, Australia has it.
Oh, they already have it. That's awesome. Anything that we can do to make our roads safer. People whine and complain saying, oh, you're tax collecting, trying to make money for the man. Yeah, no, we're actually trying to keep people safe. And the money, you weigh in on this, see what your opinion is. I'm curious. I don't think we make money on tickets. I think we lose money on tickets. I think the enforcement of laws are a total loss situation.
I don't. If we do make money, it's not going to be great jobs. I don't know what the numbers are.
I don't know either. I'm speculating.
But again, as I say, I don't get a toaster at the end of the month for the number of.
I've never had a toaster, and I keep trying for one.
Yeah, I know.
Free toaster. Anyone who grew up in the 70s and 80s, every kind of sales system, even when you went to go and raise money for Cops for Cancer or Heart, there were always incentives. You raise a certain amount of money, and a toaster was always on that list.
See, I'm aging myself by saying that.
Yes, you are, but I'm jumping into that boat with you because I am aging too. Do cops have company card for lunch, or do they have to pay for it themselves? I've never heard of anything like that.
Oh.
Now, there are situations when we're sent away from home on training, and there are contractual obligations to feed us on training. They call it there's a thing.
Per diem.
And you might get something because you're being made to travel outside. You can't, you're not at home to make your own food. So it's a couple bucks is factored into that training cost. But that's not something that I've had often. Like day to day, I just pay my own way because that's how it works.
Yep.
But that would be really cool. So Chief, if I could use it as an account for lunches, but that's not happening. Anyway, joking. Anyway.
Be hot chicken all the time.
Oh my God, Dave's hot chicken.
Yeah.
Oh, you said those words. I'm not eating that stuff. I'm on a break from bad food. Let's see here. Back to the questions. Oh, can I drive while taking T3s right after wisdom surgery? T3s are all threes. They have codeine in them, which means they're narcotic.
You're talking to the perfect guy for that.
Yes, I know.
Any drug that impairs you, you can be charged with impaired, or any substance that impairs you. So if you drive it, if you're driving and you get stopped and the officer thinks you're impaired, you'll be arrested for such. You'll be brought before a drug recognition evaluator who will perform a series of tests and clinicals. And at the end of that series of tests and clinicals, they will determine whether you are determine whether you're impaired by a drug.
And what family of drug it is in. They basically can determine that.
Yeah, you can with different signs. And at that point, if they believe that you're impaired by a drug, they'll demand a urine sample. That urine sample, when provided, will be sent for testing to see if there's presence of drugs.
Right on. And that has the same consequences if you're charged under by a drug recognition or based on the information of a drug recognition expert or evaluator. You're impaired by drug. You're going to lose your license. Like it's the same thing as drinking and driving.
Yeah, and I did 2 evaluations last week. One person was using an inhalant, and one was on a CNS depressant or well, that's what it is, an antidepressant.
So just because you have a prescription from the doctor doesn't mean you can drive. Is impaired, and it doesn't matter. You're putting lives at risk, and there you have it, folks. It's interesting. There's a lot of people who rationalize, well, the doctor said it was okay. Well, it's okay as long as you don't drive, or as long as it doesn't give you that impaired result. But that is a narcotic, and those people get really. There's a lot of side effects. I think minimal side effects based on doctors, but side effects in terms of how you feel, what it does to your body when you're using those, especially if you're using too much of it. What is the law in Ontario? If you have a G1 license, how many people can be in the vehicle? I like this question. I've never had this. I don't think I've ever had this question exactly asked this way. G1 license is a learner's permit for anyone who's watching from outside of the province of Ontario. It means that you are able to drive while being supervised by a fully licensed G-class driver who's the only other person in the front seat. So they have to have 4 years experience. Their experience is 4 years from the time they get their G2. And it wouldn't include any time that they were suspended. So look for the dots in the vertical dots in the bottom right-hand corner of their license that are to the left of the mini-me photo. You can't miss them. And if you go into our volley space through trafficcop.ca, you'll see pictures because Michael has been gracious enough to repeatedly post pictures explaining what those dots look like. But now everyone who is on the stream, the thousands of people watching, you can just look down and check your license. And I can hear the wallets across Ontario folding open as people access their license to find out. Now, to answer your question, if you had a pickup truck that only had one bench seat, then you can only carry one person because that one person is going to be the or the G-class supervising driver. You can't have anybody else in the front seat. If you're talking about back seat, you can have whomever you wish in the back seat.
As long as there's enough seatbelts for them.
Yes, excellent point. My ear is bothering me. Okay. What else is there? Between 12 and 5, you cannot drive with a G1. That's a condition. You're not allowed to drive 24/7. And you have to have a zero blood alcohol content, BAC, zero BAC. What else? You're not allowed to travel on roads that have a speed of 80 kilometers an hour. Highways are any road in the city or the province of Ontario. So highways with the speed limit over 80. However, there is a list of exemptions because certain communities, that's the only way to get there. So they've exempted people for those particular roads. And you can't drive on any expressway. I think I just said the same thing. You can't drive on any expressway. Different words make me think different things. Okay. What do we got here? Boom, boom, boom. Now, if you get your G2, there are restrictions between 12 and 5 a.m. Of the number of people under the age of 20. Isn't it weird? They say you can't have alcohol in your system until you're 22 or over, right? Or over the age of 21.
Yeah, under 22, yes.
Yeah, so they say, but why don't they say 21 and over? They say over 21.
Makes us want to have to think about it.
Well, that's the thing. People think, well, I'm allowed to drive when I'm 21 with alcohol in my system. They're not. They're a novice driver until they're 22, but they say over 21, and it confuses people. We're here talking about this stuff so that they should change their wording.
Yeah.
Gosh darn it.
The offense notice or the ticket you'd get for having alcohol in your system is young driver, BAC above 0, and it states that it's under 22. And you get your license suspended for 3 days.
It's a bad day at the office when that happens.
So when we do that, there's actually a button, and you click it, and it actually says under 22.
Again, it should. Anyway, I'm used to 21 and over, 19 and over. Like you can drink it at 19 and over. It doesn't say you can drink at under 20.
But again, it's also novice driver, so you could be 75 years old,
yes,
G2, and you can't have alcohol.
Yeah, there's a lot of confusing, and again, it's one of the reasons we do what we do. Information you need to avoid getting in trouble. Like so many things that are confusing, it's just so we can help you out. This is a public service because we're public servants. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service. Joining me on screen on every platform except Instagram is DC Scott Matthews.
There you go.
We've got here what? Oh, what education did you go through to become a part of enforcement? Do you mean like specific to enforcement of the Highway Traffic Act? Do you mean become a police officer? What do you mean? The minimum requirements of becoming a member of the Toronto Police right now as a police officer are grade 12, your Ontario Secondary School diploma or its equivalent. And then you begin a 3-month intensive training program once you're hired. If you have more education, it's wonderful. but it's not absolutely required. We do suggest it. The better a candidate you can make yourself, the more competitive you can be in the process. It is a competitive process. We are hiring, so it's important to share. If you would like to become a member of the Toronto Police Service, check out www.tps.ca/careers, because all the information about becoming a member of the Toronto Police as a uniformed police officer, as a uniformed civilian, as a administrative civilian, not in a uniform, because we have parking enforcement, we have special constables. Those are uniform roles. But we also have computer people and mechanics, and well, the mechanics have a uniform, but that's good stuff.
Yep.
Lots of opportunities. Is your driver's license suspended for distracted driving? Chris Orr wants to know. He's cut from YouTube, and the answer is
yes.
Upon conviction.
On conviction.
Yeah, so it's a different order of operations for stunt driving. And operation, you're going to receive a administrative suspension immediately prior to the outcome of court, and then you'll be eligible for additional suspensions or disqualifications at the court process. When it comes to the HTA fine or charge for distracted driving in particular, that is a 3-day on your first conviction, 7-day on your second conviction, and then it can go higher, right?
Goes to 30, I believe.
I think you're right, and I think you can ultimately get is it lifetime, or is it only on distracted? Not distracted, on stunt.
On stunt, that's a good question. I don't want to say the answer because I might be wrong.
We should take bets on it and guess, because Chase is right now typing. He's checking. It's always a race with Chase. Chase is on the case. Handheld. Oh, yeah, I need a hyphen. It always screws up the thing. Handheld. Here we go. Drive hand. Did he do it? Did he do it? No. 3. So Richard thinks it's 3, 9, and 30 for third and subsequent. And is he right? It says
3, 9, and 30. That'd be 3, 7, and 30.
It's, where is it? 3 days, first offense. Subsequent is 7, and then 30 for additional subsequent. Yeah, and I don't see anything else here. But for stunt, it can be lifetime, and it's higher for stunt. Oh, and Chase says he caught me off guard. He says he's usually like on the money, but yeah, not this time. Fatima types, "Hi, I just got my license. I have a question, as we are told to stay right and stop in case of emergency vehicles. What do people who are in the left turn lane do?" Sorry, what people who are in the left turn lane should do? Go for a left turn? So here's the deal. If you are in a situation where you're on the road and you see emergency vehicles, you hear the sirens, you see the lights, you're to pull over to the nearest curb or edge of roadway and stop. Now, if you are in the left turn lane, you're in an intersection essentially, I think you're better off waiting, stopping. I don't think it would be safe for you to enter the intersection, make a turn. I think you'd stay where you are, because very often we are trying to navigate action. Will likely go into oncoming traffic to pass you on the other side. If you were to make a turn as we're approaching, you're going to drive into us. So I would suggest in that situation, very specifically the one you're suggesting or describing, I would just move. Now, if we got behind you and hit the horn and said, move, 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 you know, that I have a button for that. If we did that, well, that we'd probably be waving and directing, and that's a different story. We'll leave that for the outlier situation. But at an intersection, we are likely coming into the oncoming traffic, so don't move. If you're in a situation where you're approaching that intersection, make a right or move to the right curve. We prefer the right curve. If you're on a divided highway, the left curb could also be okay. The left shoulder could also be okay.
I never realized how many phone calls I get in a day.
Only when you're on live.
Exactly.
We talked about that. Oh, we got Kyle Hawking, who's got a question. Morning, Sean and PC Matthews. On roads that have signage saying speed enforced by aircraft, how does that enforcement work? I love this question.
I do know.
I know too, but you go for it.
So I know of the OPP, the way they do it. They have airplanes.
They used to. Apparently, that's no longer the case.
Okay, so I'll tell the story that I knew before. I don't know. You can update how they do it, but there's markings on the road that are measured, and they have a stopwatch, and they have a passenger in the plane, and the officer will start the stopwatch when the person crosses the first line, and hit the stopwatch when the person crosses the second line, and the stopwatch actually will tell you the speed of the vehicle.
Right, because they have watches. There's a is it an Omega? Where there's a fancy schmancy watch, Breitling or an Omega. I can't remember what it is. I like watches, and it has measurement built into. So or no, that's I'm making that up. It was for storms and whatnot. It's for sound and distance. Totally different thing, not speed. It was for distance.
I like your story.
It was a good story.
Yep.
I mean, no, they had to stop from the time that you heard the sound till the time that you saw the light. By running that stopwatch, it would allow you to determine distance, and it had a subdial that would tell you distance. Anyway, but you're absolutely right. That's the way it was done. And as much as I was told there's a new way, I can't remember what he said. The OPP who was in dead, they don't do it that way anymore. So I have to go back and listen to that episode to find out what he said.
Because I've seen when York and Durham show their helicopter videos of car chases, it actually will show the vehicle speed.
I don't know how it works.
I don't know how it works, though.
But they had for the longest time planes doing it. I just don't know what they're doing now. So if anyone knows what they're doing and how they do it, let us know. Can we fight for red light camera in... Sorry, let me put this on screen so it's in big text. I'm reading it in small. Can we fight for red light camera if in that intersection there was no sign to show us about red light camera? So you ran a red light, but you didn't get warned that you'd get caught, so you think that's a defense. Actually, I think they are required to put it.
I know they are with the speed cameras. I don't know about the red light cameras, though.
I think they are. But good luck to you. You're saying that you're guilty, but you'd like to get a second chance because there was no sign. If there was a police officer there, we wouldn't need a sign. I think that the whole concept of warning people that they're going to be held accountable for their actions is a ridiculous requirement, and I don't know why we do it. But that's not it. Whatever the lawmakers want, that's what they decided. They didn't ask me first, but I don't think that I don't think that's reasonable. I don't think it should be required. So good luck to you if you take it to court. The truth is, if there's no points involved, and if you're guilty, you're guilty, if you ask me. All the best. Good luck to you on that side of things. And let me know if you make out well, because everyone else here is going to want to know. Okay, what is this? What if I cross the line to move over? Here we go. What if I cross the line to move over for an emergency vehicle and the camera catches that action? So you cannot run a red light for an emergency vehicle. You are not permitted to. Now, if you cross the line from a stop, the camera is actually not going to fire. You are allowed to, make a right turn on red, and as long as you've come to a complete stop, that camera is not going to consider you running the red. And technically, the offense of running the red means not stopping. If you've come to a stop and then you proceed through, it's a different charge under the HTA, and those cameras don't catch you for that. That's not to invite you to go and break rules, but that's the thing. So if you were moving out of the way for a police vehicle, come to a complete stop, and if you had to, we would suggest making a right turn. That if you could do it legally and safely. Otherwise, don't move. Yeah. What is this? We did this one already. Okay, 1 second. Moving along. Here's a good one. There's been a lot of vehicles lately driving with high beams. Doesn't seem police are stopping.
I always did. I don't know.
Well, it's an individual thing.
That's right. You have to see that.
So, our priority is going to be the big four. We're going to look for the speeders, the distracted drivers, the aggressive drivers, the impaired drivers. And yeah, there's lots of people who drive with their high beams on or don't turn the lights on at all. And those are things that if I see it, I'll deal with it. But if I'm set up doing speed enforcement, I'm not going to shut down and go pull you over because your high beam wasn't directed properly. It's still a ticket, but I'm looking for that person that is specific to what I'm doing. If I've got the time, because it's still important, but everything's prioritized.
Yep.
If I'm driving and it blinds me, I'm aware of it. If I'm driving and it doesn't blind me, I may not even know that they're driving with their high beams. But different types of vehicles will be more affected, I guess, by it. Smaller vehicles. We got here. Adian. I don't know if that's a name or if that's... Okay, we're going to skip that. I'm not going to be focused on the first 5 letters. Is it illegal to pull a vehicle out of the ditch on a high-traffic road? What do you mean?
That question.
I don't know what you mean. The deal is that if you have the appropriate ability to safely tow it legally, like you're connecting to it safely and legally, it's not much of a difference than... You can't shut down the road so you can play tow truck.
No.
I don't know how to answer it. I want to phone a friend. I don't know how to answer
I don't know
it.
about that one at all.
But I'm glad that we asked it because I like getting stumped. It really does. It is always interesting to hear new and unique questions. So we'll have to circle back. I'm not going to delete that one because I want to ask. I want to come to it. There's a follow up to this is the chap who asked about fighting a camera if you go through the intersection. If we violate the traffic law in order to save people's lives, then we get a ticket or fight. We will win in court. I take it you're telling me, not asking me. You're not allowed to break the law because you think it's justified. Police officers are required to stop. Not allowed to run lights. We have to stop prior to going through them. We have to ensure it's safe to do so, and we have to do that with lights and sirens on. We would be charged under the Police Services Act or disciplined within our service if we broke the law. Why would you get a pass? I would say you'd still be charged and convicted. So don't do it. Don't put people's lives at risk because you think you're doing the right thing. Call the professionals if you got an emergency, or let us navigate intersections, because you doing something that you think is right could get people killed. How to fix camera fine in court? The best way to avoid fines for cameras and automated enforcement stuff is to not break the law.
I agree.
It is so easy to just follow the laws. I don't understand why anyone gets tickets, because if you do the right thing and you do what you signed up for, follow the conditions of your driver's license, handbook, everything you taught and knew when you got licensed, there wouldn't be any issue. Okay, there's the miscalculations and you have a collision because you oopsie-dooed, but not because you drove in such a way that you ran a red or exceeded the speed limit by a margin. And there is a margin. They don't give you a ticket for 2 kilometers over. Do you deserve one? Well, you technically broke the law. Not a popular statement, I'm sure. How soon is it possible to do the G1 exit test? Do you know this one offhand, Scott?
I don't.
If you don't take a course, it's 1 year. If you do take an approved driving course, it's 8 months. They give you some bonus.
I knew it was less, but I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, but it's still from G1 to G2, it's still 12 months. And there's no faster way, unless you're coming from a jurisdiction that has where you have experience somewhere else. They might give you an express pass. When to use hazard lights? This is an interesting question. We can go down the rabbit hole on this. People use them when driving in inclement weather, like the blinking orange tells people it's snowing as opposed to the snow that's falling from the heavens. I'm personally against the use of hazard lights when you are not stopped. I think hazard lights should only be used when you're stopped, because then I understand what you're doing. You're a hazard. Go around you. When you're driving as a mobile hazard, maybe you shouldn't be driving.
I've always said that and do agree with you on that one.
Huzzah. I like that. Yeah, I don't understand that. And Sergeant Campbell even says tow trucks shouldn't be driving with their amber flashing lights on. They're not technically hazards. They're just towing. The only one actively working on the road are they to activate their lights so people can go around them, because they're physically and mobile hazards. So he actively talks about that when he joins us on the show. Can you get a ticket for changing lanes in an intersection? Interesting.
People get that because it actually says you must, and I can't remember the section, but about it says you may not. You have to proceed through an intersection, straight through an intersection. It has something to do with that, and so people think that you can't change lanes when you're going through an intersection, and I don't see
There's no specific law
that says that.
No, and it is a high-risk situation because people are there's a lot of things happening. People are making rights on reds. People are proceeding directly through. They're anticipating that you're going to stay where you are. And if you have to make the lane change, you can legally, but know that you may cause a collision and you'd be held responsible for that movement, because you could get a charge for move not in safety.
That's right.
Which is cool. Which is not cool for you, but it's cool that there's appropriate charges for it. Here's an interesting question, and obviously will be one that people are very passionate about. How come every time I see a cop parked without emergency light, they are parked in bike lanes? You must see a lot of police cars and hang out on the roads a lot, because I don't know, or you're always catching one particular intersection. Police can park anywhere when responding to an emergency call. But here's the deal: when we park and get out of the car, we turn off the lights. We don't leave it running. They take up a lot of electricity. We want the car to start when we get back.
Yep.
We want the computer system to still function. So, yeah, we will on occasion park in an emergency route, in a fire route, because we're emergency vehicles responding to an urgent call. If we're getting coffee, that is an inappropriate place for a stop. I can tell you that our management would not be happy with us if we were caught doing it and could not justify why we were there. We would be documented for it. Parking enforcement is looking for it, even if it's a police officer. So don't think that we get any special privileges. If we're not associated to an active call, we're going to get in trouble for that.
Yep.
And there was a horrible picture that made its way around. I say horrible because I was offended by it. As a police officer, it was a police car parked in front of a bicycle memorial where somebody was killed. I assume killed or hurt. And it was alleged that they weren't there for an official purpose. Even if they were, worst place to park. But in any case, legal when it's justified, illegal when it's not, even for police. And I should say only for police, because it's never justified for anyone else. What is going on here? Can I use a horse and buggy in downtown Toronto? Is it legal? I think it is.
See why not?
It's allowed in London, Ontario. You know, the Mennonites, is it the Mennonites that are out there? They use horse and buggy. They don't need special permits. I don't think there's anything preventing someone from doing it here. Now, doing it for money, you need a proper permit. If you were like doing the horse and buggy tour of the Toronto kind of situation, but just driving your own horse and buggy, I think you're totally legit. I don't know if that's a great way to travel, especially in this cold weather. I have a quick question. Can you turn right on intersections through gas stations? Like this one.
Yeah. So if you're cutting through the gas station, there's nothing against the law about it, except there is a law that states that you must do a complete stop before a sidewalk before proceeding.
And there's also, I've seen signs, and I don't think they still exist, but I remember at the corner of, was it Dufferin and Steeles, there was a gas station and it said no trespassing, customers only. And that would mean that if you entered the intersection, if you entered the property and drove right through, technically you trespassed. So at that point, they could take your license plate down. I believe they were reporting that police were invited to come in and enforce that, because that was trespass based on activity. What was it? What's the charge? It's prohibited activity.
Engage in prohibited activity.
Yeah, it's about a bit of a stretch, but at the end of the day, if you do that, you're really encroaching on that property owner occupier's rights and use of their property. It is an issue. Don't do that. Why would you do that?
And especially, if there's a lot of traffic or pedestrian traffic or cars getting gas and stuff like that, and you get into a collision, then you have other issues. I know it's not on the road, but if you came whipping into the parking lot to whip out the other side, there's dangerous operation under the criminal code, because that can be applied anywhere.
Yeah. Are alternating red service vehicles used on a highway to work on emergencies? Well, red lights are intermittent flashes of red light are prohibited unless you're police, fire, or ambulance, period. So you could not use alternating red lights if alternating means intermittent. And I'm assuming that you're talking about a flashing strobe of something of that nature. So no, you can't. Could you have an amber light like a tow truck? Yes, you could. I don't know when you say work on emergencies, what's an emergency? Is a tow truck? There's a slowdown movement, which includes emergency vehicles and tow trucks. Maybe you're a service vehicle or maybe you don't. But amber would be permitted, and white would not, red would not, blue would not be permitted. There, I'm content. Would you add anything to that?
No.
Do you have a podcast? I keep missing the live streams. Thank you for asking, because streaming on the bottom of this particular screen right now is a blue thing that says Traffic Jam Podcast, and we do have a podcast. We're a little behind in terms of posting it, but every one of our episodes, regardless of where you're watching now, you can play every one of our episodes back on Traffic Services. Toronto Police is the YouTube channel. You can get to our entire collection of years of live streams. You could be entertained from now until the end of time, because at the end you can just press play and watch it from the beginning again, and you can listen to it as well. The podcast Traffic, the Traffic Jam is a playlist. There's about 16 episodes currently on the playlist. That is a video podcast, which is very different than what we're doing now. It's a guest, just a one-on-one conversation, or a one-on-two, or two-on-three, or I don't know, people. And then we also have that available wherever podcasts are available, like Spotify and that other one, Apple Music, and that other one, Google Music. They all have, everywhere that podcasts are available, you can get it. So subscribe. Links are available at trafficcop.ca. Okay. If I am the passenger and having a beer, what would happen to me and the driver? It's a great question. That's perfect that you're here to answer it.
Well, you can't have open alcohol within a vehicle, so there's a ticket right there. If the open container was accessible to the driver can get it too.
So I'm told I got lots of lag. I'm going to drop my. Oops. I'm dropping my definition down. And I'm doing that now.
Must be because of me.
Well, I think it's because the computer is now processing too. And this is not a high-end computer. This is just a little yoga tablet, laptop. I don't know. It's a thing. And it's not a very powerful thing. But it is better than the old thing. And now that I've plugged in a second camera on the same computer, I guess that's the issue. And I appreciate Josh letting me know, because Josh let me know. So now that I squirreled, what was the answer to that question? So having a beer, what would happen to the driver? So would the driver be charged if the passenger had open alcohol, or would the individual holding the alcohol get charged?
So holding the alcohol, obviously the passenger in this case would be charged, but if the passenger put the beer down in the cup holder, for example, then the driver could be charged because it's accessible to the driver.
So it depends. At the end of the day, don't do it. That applies to so many things. People don't understand the concept of. I mean, we can go into this. What happens if you're sleeping in your car? People always ask about that whole care and control concept, and people ask about weed in the car. Maybe we can quickly hit those things.
Weed and alcohol are the exact same thing. If you can't have open beer in your vehicle, you can't have open cannabis in your vehicle. The laws are exactly the same, just a different substance.
Okay, and then the sleep it off in the car concept, is that changed in any way, shape, or form in the last while? Or?
No, if the keys are readily available and you are in the car and you have consumed alcohol, it's against the law.
So, and here's the deal: if you are going to drink, this concept of I got to sleep it off in my car means you didn't plan. Either don't drink and enjoy your vehicle and all the benefits of it, the warmth, the comfort, and the ease of transportation, or leave it at home, take transit, take an Uber, take anything, bum a ride. I don't mean from a friend.
Yep.
Not. I'm not talking about thumbing a ride, but do something. Be a grown-up, make a plan, stick to that plan, and keep yourself safe in the lives of other people on the road, because that's what we're talking about here. Okay, last two questions because we've gone over time. Can you drive with headphones on, big cans like this, or headphones? Is there any law preventing you? In Ontario, the answer is no, but other jurisdictions may say different.
That is a pet peeve of mine.
You don't like the folks that wear headphones?
No, because what do they hear? They can't hear what's going on around them. I'm coming up with my lights and sirens on. They don't move out of the road because they've got their music blasting in their headphones.
And listen, blasting music in the stereo is no different. It's still gonna. If you're doing something to distract yourself, it's a problem. Is it illegal? No. But you think about the seconds saved, and when we're going to emergency calls, seconds matter. But really, there are things called transparency modes in those earbuds now, and you can hear through. Like you might be on the telephone. So please take these things into consideration. We're not telling you that you cannot do it. There's no law for it. But how would you feel if you prevented someone from getting a police officer there to help them, or an ambulance there to save their life, or everyone, who knows? I talk about the fact that hearing is not a requirement for driving. There are people who are deaf, they're hearing impaired, who can drive, and they are good drivers. It's not a requirement of the law. But if I could have that extra little chance, that ability to hear the roar of an engine, the screech of a tire, or the police siren or ambulance or whatnot, that's a benefit. I'll take the benefit. Why give up that? Some people don't have that choice. They don't have that choice. But if you have that choice, why say no? If I gave you an opportunity to increase your odds of winning the lottery, you'd probably say, well, bring it on. But if I give you a chance to increase the odds of saving a life, and that life could be your own, you say, but I like my music. So I don't get it. And last question, and all the questions that are here, and I got a whole bunch of them in the queue. So if you're watching on TikTok, if you're watching anywhere, know that we're not going to clear this. This is a new kind of concept. I don't want to ignore your questions, but we only have a certain amount of time. We got that hour. And in fact, we're now at 71 minutes. So we're going to continue these on Monday. And we'll keep going, and we'll keep building these lists and keep answering questions because you're important. So if you didn't get your question answered, please join us again Monday at 10 a.m. so we can get to your questions, and we'll just keep on going. When we chase our tails trying to we only get the certain block, and then we ignore everybody else. I want to try and get everybody included. So stick around. Stay for the whole show. It's not just something to get in and get out. So do you guys have quotas to hit in regards to handing out tickets? I think this is a great question. We hear it all the time. I smile and get a giggle because we talk about the toaster. And many of you know I went to Los Angeles recently to meet the cast of Chips. And I'll never forget one of the episodes, I think it was season 2, maybe it was season 1. Eric Estrada is questioned or it was suggested that he's got a quota. And he says, listen, I asked my sergeant, and he says I can write as many as I want. I wrote tickets when I was on the road specifically to make the road safer, to change driver behavior, and it had nothing to do with meeting a quota, and there is no quota. There is, however, an expectation that we'll go out and work hard and do our job. If I showed up as a traffic guy and went out on the road and did nothing all day, there's no question that I'd be called to task saying, what are you doing? Because I know, and they know, that 10 minutes on the road, I could find more than 10 things to write. Everyone's breaking the law. Even if it's minor, there are things being done that are making the roads less safe. So is there a quota? No. But will I write as many as I can? Heck yes. As I make friends, I've had people say, if you're ever coming back to the road, please let us know. I could change driving in Toronto just by letting people know that I'm out there to write. Listen, I'm not the only person who will tell you the same thing, and I know that you're an enforcement guy too. If there are people that are out there making the roads unsafe, you're going to change their behavior with that ticket.
100%.
I got hurt, and I was in the motor squad prior to being hurt due to a crash. And I used to go and write tickets and enjoy them. And then they came out with the Vision Zero enforcement team, which is out there focused, doing nothing but enforcement. And if that was on motorcycle, I would have done that 100% because that looks like the greatest gig ever, to go out there and focus on enforcement. I like it. All right, we are gone. Have a great weekend. And as Richard says, he says, happy Friday, everyone. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I skipped the. Okay, no. I skipped the voice volley, and now I feel like Chase works hard to bring us this content, these questions. We will play the voice volley, and we'll deal with it. Okay, here we go. Q&A. Oh, there was a whole bunch of stuff going on here. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom. Chase. Is it only one? Yeah, it's only one. Here we go. Make sure my volume's up.
If the police stop you because they saw you touching your phone screen while you were driving, but you just say you were declining or answering a call, do they have any authority to ask to look at your phone, or can they still just write the ticket? How does that work?
That's an interesting question. I personally wouldn't pull someone over simply because I just saw them make momentary contact. I would look for a few more seconds. I'm making observations. I'm not just making, oh, you touched your phone. I'm looking for 30, 40 seconds, a minute. What are you doing? I've stopped beside people at lights for a few minutes. The light changes. They don't drive. I'm sitting there. I'm just making my observations. And that's all about building my case. What am I writing down? I'm writing down everything I see. How about you, Scott?
I agree. I don't think I would do it if somebody touched it. I know there's more to that question. About asking to see the phone. If you believe, or if it really happened that you just declined the call, then you can offer the phone up to show that I declined the call. Now, can they ask to see the phone? They can ask. Do you have to show it to them? No, but in this situation that you're talking about, it might be to your benefit.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, I've never said, hey, I don't want to touch your phone. I have no intention of seeing your phone. I can lay the charge and you can bring the evidence afterwards to say in your defense. So I'm going to see what I saw. I'm going to lay charges based on my observations. And if you say, but I only did this, well, that's good for you. you can come to court and explain that now, and that's on you, not me. I'm not going to surf your phone. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to break it. I want nothing to do with it. Which brings me to a weird thing when you have ID that's going to become electronic, where I may need to be able to touch your phone. I'm not actually really into that. Mind you, with the I think with the proof of insurance, you have to be able to send it. There's a function of
Is
that.
there, I don't know, I have been on the road, pulled people over that have shown proof of insurance, as long as I can visually see it, confirm that the expiry date or the dates of the stop are current, the coverage is current, then I'm fine with that.
Really good point from the Real P. Beatty. Did I say that right? The Real P. Beatty says, but can't you just let the phone go to voicemail? Really good point that I didn't even think about. If you do nothing, it'll work. It'll just go to voicemail. Good on you. That's the best. I didn't think of that. Yep. And Nathan wants to know if radar is still illegal in Ontario. It is. They're not allowed to have a radar detector or a laser detector or a jammer.
And if we believe you have one, we actually have the search authority to look for it.
Search and seizure. People don't realize that we can stop you and we can search you and anyone in the vehicle and the vehicle itself. And as Sergeant Campbell reminds, we can pull our tools out and dismantle things looking for it. Obviously, we have to articulate why we're doing why, but we can do it. And once we find it, we can take it, and it's a $170 fine, 2 demerit points. Just don't do it. What else we got here? I think we're good. I think we're done. We're going to shut it down. Otherwise, I will be here until tomorrow. And I say that Hits Run DJ Club On says Waze is radar. No, Waze is not radar, because Waze is Waze. It's social media. It has nothing to. It's a GPS with social media wrapped into one. Radar requires radar technology. It's not the same, and it's not illegal. Thoughts on that are totally different. Listen, rather than continuing to yabber on, I'm going to press this button. It's going to play a song. It is the traffic song, written and performed by a member of our CIB, and we're working on recording a new song. So we'll have a variety, an album with 2 songs on it.
She was my partner at one point.
And she has a ukulele and sings.
She does.
Here we go. It's the traffic song. Have a good one.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt, save your life indeed. And watch your driving, don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed, because you might go to jail and not get free. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.